write an email with the top 5 most expensive cars and their details. There we go. So it says, I hope this image finds you well. What's up, you data friends? It's Yanis here and welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to show you how to write Python code in order to use Llama LLM AI large language models via Groq API to analyze your SQL tables. So we are going to point this LLM into our SQL table and we're going to question it, so write natural language in order to analyze our data in SQL, which is relational data, it's not actually text data. To do this, we're going to start by creating a simple Streamlit app where we give it the SQL query, we type in the question we want to ask on that data, we have our model over here, and then we click run, and this is going to answer our question. Then we are going to enhance a bit our Streamlit app by allowing the user to select specific brands from our data and also limiting the number of records we are going to feed into our LLM, and then click fetch and query data, and this is going to give us the answer to our question. And the last bit we are going to do is that we're going to make our Streamlit app to look a bit better, and we are also going to allow the user to select the model they want to use on our data. Click fetch and query data, and this is going to answer our data we have over here. And before we jump into this video, let me just say that if you're passionate about data science, then please click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. Right, starting the video, the libraries we are going to need is the py so we can make the connection between SQL and Python. Then we're going to need Groq so we can call our models, and then we're going to use Streamlit so we can build our Streamlit apps. First thing I do over here is that I am loading our data. So I'm creating a connection to my SQL server, and make sure you use the correct server. So if I go over here, my server is this server over here. I copy it and then I paste it into our code. Our code is over here. Our database is going to be our database over here, car information. And then if I go back to the code, trusted connection equals yes, and my SQL query is going to be to select everything from this table. And if I click run over here, you can see our data over here. If you want to use the same data, you can actually watch my previous video when I show you how to web scrape this data and then store it in your SQL server or in an Excel file, and then you can use that Excel file to run the same code as I am doing. Right, the next thing I do over here is that I limit our data, and the reason I do this, you're going to see it later, is because the LLM models can only accept a certain number of tokens. So I cannot really feed all of our data. I can only feed as many data points they allow me. But there is ways around it. That's why in our Streamlit apps, we give the ability to either write your SQL query so you can limit the data you're starting with, or we are giving the ability to filter specific brands or the number of records. And we are also giving the ability to switch between different models because some models accept more tokens than other models. Right, going back over here, the next thing we have to do is to initialize the Groq client. Now, if you don't have an account with Groq and you don't have an API key, I suggest going into the Groq website, sign up, it's for free, and then you can create an API key from here. You copy it, you paste it over here, and then you run this code. I'm going to comment it out now because I have already run it and then removed my key. The next thing I do is that I am converting our limited data, which is only the first 200 records, into a JSON file. And if I show you how this looks, so if I run this, you can see that the relational data that was like this, it became like this. And the reason we've done this is so that LLMs can actually understand the context of the data. Right, moving on, I'm defining our prompt. So I'm asking the model to summarize the following relational data, and then I passed our relational data. I specify my model. You can actually select from a number of models from Groq. If you follow this link over here, it's going to take you to the models available. So we can use any of these models. I think I am using this model to start with, the instant one. And the reason is that it accepts a lot of tokens. That's why I'm choosing this one. Where is it? The instant, there we go. And then I am calling the model and I'm feeding my prompt. To call the model now, I went over into the Groq API. Where is it? I think it's over here, check completions. And then I have copied this piece of code and then adjusted it so we can run our model. And then if we click run over here, this is now going to attempt to answer these questions, summarize the following relational data, and it's going to be this data over here, and you can see it's giving us a summary of our data. It says that the given data contains information about various cars. It gives us some information about the make and the model, about the year of the release, the trim name, the engine information. So it does a very good job in summarizing what our data set has. If I now go back and then use all the data just to show you that we're going to get an error, let me run this again. Now I'm feeding the model all the data, and most probably I'm going to get an error that I have passed the tokens that I'm allowed to. Oh wow, it worked. How is this possible? Oh, I'm feeding the limited data, that's why. Sorry, let me undo this and feed the all the SQL query. Wait, what am I doing? Here, there we go. I have actually fed the limited data, which was the same data as before. So now we get an error, and the error says the rate limit has been reached. It says that the limit is 20,000 tokens, and I have actually used 159. So that's way more tokens that I'm allowed to. And this is why we are limiting the data. So let me fix this again. Let me run it again so we get the summary. The next thing I do is that I try to give it a different question. So I'm saying, which cars are the fastest? Give me the top 10 cars and their details. So I run this, again, the same code as above. And this is so we can test if the model understands what I'm asking. So it says, based on the provided data, the top 5 fastest cars are, and it's giving me 5 of the fastest cars. Right, the next thing we have to do now is to put our code into functions and then create our first Streamlit app, which is this one over here. To do this, we start with our libraries. The only new library here is the image, which is basically so we can add this image over here. We start with our first function, which is the connect to SQL Server. And it takes as inputs our server, our database, and the trusted connection, which is always yes. We will have to set up our connection string, which is basically the same string as we have above in the first line of code, with the only difference that we have to pass server and the server, database and the database, and then trusted connection, which is going to be yes. And this is going to create the connection between Python and our SQL server. The second function we have to create is the fetch data from SQL, and here we need to pass our query, which is going to be this query over here, and we are going to pass the connection, which is going to be this connection over here. And what this does is basically reading the SQL query into this df over here. Now the next function is the query data, which takes the JSON data, which we are going to convert this data frame into JSON in this function. It takes the question, the model name, and our API key. So as you can see over here is where we set our API key. Over here we set our prompt, and we are asking, based on the relational data, answer the questions, where we are passing the JSON text and also the question. And then we are calling our model, and we are passing the prompt under context. The prompt is going to be our question. Over here, we also specify the model, which is over here, which we are going to specify over, where is it? Over here. Next, we are creating our main function, and our main function is where we are going to create our Streamlit app. Basically, we start with our title. This is the SQL Server data querying with LLMs. This is our title over here. Next, we are displaying our image, which is this image over here. Next, we are creating this text inputs, and basically this text input is going to be our server, our database, and then the SQL query, which is the server, the database, the trusted connection, which is what we need over here for the connect to SQL Server. Let me go back down. We have the model selection again as a text input, which is the model selection over here. Going back, we have to specify our API key. So over here is where you need to copy and paste your API key from Groq into here. And then we add this fetch and query data button, which is this one over here. And we say, if somebody clicks that button, and we also have an API key server database query and question data, so everything is filled in as you can see, then we want to initiate the connection. We want to fetch our data. We want to limit our data so the model works. We want to convert our data into JSON format, and we want to run our query data function, which is this function over here, which calls the model and generates the answer basically to our question. And we want to basically write our answer in a box over here. If we check, this is our answer, and this is the answer title that you see over here. Else, we want to print the error if there is an error, and we also have this warning over here in case somebody does not fill in all the text over here. So if there is a field missing, then it's going to throw this error. Right, in order to launch this Streamlit app now on the browser and view it, we're gonna need to convert this into a .py file and then open it from Visual Studio Code so we can run our app. So you need to do file, new, and then Python file. So this is a .py file. We are going to copy and paste our code into the .py file. We are going to rename this into SQL LLM app1, for example. Rename. We are going to do file, save all. And then I'm going to open that file. Let me get that file quickly and then paste it in the location I want, which is going to be over here. Paste it over here. Here, I want to replace this file. I think I pasted it twice. And then I'm going to open this from Visual Studio Code. There we go. I have Visual Studio Code open. This is our file over here. As you can see, it's exactly the same code. I'm only missing my API key from here. In order to make this work, and in order to run this now, you will need to do over here and do a new command prompt, and over here you will need to run streamlit run app.py. Let me quickly add my API key and then hide it from you guys. There we go. I have added my API key over there, and then I'm going to run streamlit run and then the name of our file, and then click run. And this should open a new tab over here. It should be exactly the same as our app over here. Let's test it. Everything looks correct. Write a summary of our data. Click run. This is running, as you can see. Perfect. This worked. It gives us a summary of our data. Look at it. It's such a good summary. The next thing we want to do now is our second app, which is basically the same app, but we keep adding stuff to it so we can improve it. Is this app over here. We are going to give the end user the ability to select from different brands, and also give them the ability to limit the number of records to display. And this is because, if you remember at the beginning of the video, if we give to the model too many tokens, it's going to fail. So we are only giving the model 200 tokens in this app we have just created. And with this app, we are going to allow filtering on the brands and also adding more or less records to the model. So giving more or less records to the model so it can give a better answer. We are also adding the model selection over here, which we didn't have before, where we give the end user the ability to select from different models. Right, I'm going to move these two over here so it's easier for us to switch and show you what we are doing. We are going back to our code, we are copying our first app, we are pasting it down here, and we are going to make changes now. All of this is exactly the same as before. So our functions, this is also the same. What's different, I think, is from here and under. So we start with running this SQL query, select this thing make, so we can create our list, which we are going to pass into this multi-select. So we can allow the user to select different brands from this multi-select box over here. So this piece of code, which is this, is doing what I've just shown you. The next thing we do is that we store our initial query, the starting query that selects everything from our table, into base query. And this base query is just a text, by the way. Then we are saying if selected brands, so if people select a few brands, then we are going to add these selected brands into our where clause over here. So the SQL query is going to say something like select all from car info web where make in, and it's going to be a list of all the brands we have selected over here. And this is going to filter our data. Then we are adding the slider with a number of records to display. Our minimum value is 10, our maximum value is 2000, because we have, I think, about 1,600 records in our data, and the value that we're going to start with is 200, which is what you see over here. Starting 10, the value given 200, and then the max is 2000 over here. The next thing is the ask a question text area, which is basically the same as before, as you can see over here. And the other thing we've changed here is the selection, the select box of various different models. And into the models, in the list over here, I have Llama 8 billion, I have Mixtral, Whisper, Llama 70 billion, and we can add more models from the models we have. Where are they? Over here, in case we want to test more models. And I think everything else is the same. Right, to publish our second app now, what we need to do is go back to Visual Studio Code. We are going to select our current app, app 1, copy, and then paste. And then I'm going to rename this to 2. So right click, rename, remove this copy, and then type in 2. Yeah, that's fine. Let's check it. This is the same app as before. And what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to go back into our code. Over here, I'm going to select everything. Copy, and then go back into Visual Studio Code, select all, and then paste. So now we have our 7. I think I pasted it twice. Yep, that's one time. Oh, that's 3 times. There we go. That's one time. So this is our app now. All we are missing is our API key. So I'm going to quickly pause the video, add the API key, and run it. There we go. I have added our API key. Now I'm going to start a new prompt, and I'm going to run Streamlit, run, and then the name of this app. So over here, then run, and this should open our second app. There we go. Let me put it next to our previous second app. This is our second app. We can see that we get the ability now to choose different makes. They are called makes, but they are brands. So let's select these 3. Number of records, let's do 219, and then let's do summary. We're going to stick with this model, click fetch. Oh, there we go. We got an error saying that we've reached our limit. So we're going to have to lower it a bit. So let's do 202, click again, fetch. It's running again. There we go. It ran. Now we have our summary. Very nice summary now about those cars. We also have the selection of the models, which we haven't seen, so we can try different models if we want. Right, and the last app now we have, app number 3, is basically aesthetic changes. So we are going to move all these settings we have above here, apart from the ask question and the answer, to the right hand side. So to do this, we're going to go back into our Python code. We are going to copy all of our second app and paste it below. Down here is our third app. And what we are going to do is that we are basically going to move all of, let me check, all of these things, we are going to move it in a sidebar. So if you read our new code down here, the start is the same, the main function, the title and the image is the same, but down here, all of these up until the API key, so from the SQL Server connection all the way to the API keys is going to move into st.sidebar, and we are going to name it connection and query settings. So if we check our third app, you can see connection and query settings over here. It's exactly the same inputs as we had in our second app. However, you can see them over here. However, now we have moved them on the sidebar. And over here, we only leave, actually we only leave the button and the answer. The question goes over here. So yeah, that's the only change. So I pushed everything into the sidebar, and then the st.button is exactly the same as before. To run this now, we need to repeat the same process. So we're going to come over here. We are going to copy our first app, copy it, and then we are going to paste it. We are going to rename this into 3. There we go. That's 3. Click enter. Now I'm going to pause the video and add my key. There we go. I have added my key, and now I'm going to run Streamlit run, and then this is app 3, not single app. So copy this, new command prompt, paste this, and then the name of it is SQL. Oh, a different name. Let me get the name quickly. This is the name. Go back into Visual Studio Code. Streamlit run, and then I'm going to paste it over here, copy all of this, and then paste it. Wait, move this. There we go, and then run this, click run, and this is going to open our third app. Oh, I didn't click save. Give me a sec, let me go back. App 3, SQL Llama, app 3, file, save. Oh, I didn't replace the code, so I forgot to replace the code. We still have the same code. So we have to go back here. We have to copy our new code and then go back into Visual Studio Code, app 3. I'm going to select all above here. So select all, paste, correct. There we go. I'm going to pause so I can add my API key again. There we go. I've added our API key, and now we have to, basically we are running the app. So all we have to do is click save, because we have run the app before, and then we need to come back into our new app to rerun, and there we go. We got the connections over here. Let's do Mercedes, Nissan, and Audi. Let's do which car is the fastest. This, click run. Let's choose the 70 billion. Let's click run. It's running. There we go. So we got the answer. The fastest car in the provided list is the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT63. Okay, let's do something more complicated. Give us a summary of all the Mercedes cars. Click run. There we go. So we got the summary. Basically, we got all the models, the levels and variants, the engine options, and the pricing, which is very good. So maybe a last question. Write an email with the top 5 most expensive cars and their details. Let's check how this is going to perform. There we go. So it says, I hope this image finds you well. I've compared a list with the 5 most expensive cars, Audi, Mercedes. So the most expensive, well, it's not in order actually, but there we go. Okay, so it broke it down by Mercedes, and then, however, considering the details available, we also got, okay, so the model itself actually created 5 Mercedes ones, and from itself it added the Audi as another option, which is like good because the model is actually improvising and it's adding more context, which is good, I think. Right, this is it for this video. I hope you've gained a very good summary about how you can use LLMs on your SQL data in order to analyze your data and use natural language on your relational data. If you feel that you get enough value out of this video, I would really appreciate it if you click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. If you have any questions or ideas about future videos, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'm going to see you in the next video.